Hi everyone, it's Sybil Starr here to give the monthly astrology forecast that is based on the new moon in Virgo. And just so you remember, at the new moon, it's like planting a seed, and that energy lasts for about 30 days. A lot of other things happen, but this is the seed that has been planted. And so this new moon occurs on August 30th at 3:37 a.m. Pacific time. And it's a very strongly Virgo new moon. There's 5 planets in Virgo and 1 asteroid. Those planets are the sun, the moon, Mercury, which is associated with Virgo. It used to be called the ruler, Mars and Venus, and it's a very tight conjunction. And the sun and the moon are at 6 degrees, almost 7 degrees of Virgo. And so this new moon is also in a grand Earth trine. It's in a trine, very tight trine with Uranus in Taurus, and a little looser trine with Saturn in Capricorn. So the earth signs are very important and very powerful at this new moon. And so one of the meanings of that to me is about being grounded. We're going through a lot of stuff right now, and it's really important to stay connected to our own center and to Mother Earth, and to keep our feet firmly on the ground and look for practical solutions to the problems that we are having now in our lives and in our world. And the other thing is, every one of these planets in Virgo, will be opposing Neptune in its own sign of Pisces throughout the month. So it feels to me like there is a big Virgo Pisces axis that is in play at this time. The full moon, which occurs on September 13th here in California, in the 14th in some other places, will really shed some light. The new moon plants the seed, the full moon then illuminates and sheds light. And so what this says to me is, one of the meanings of the Pisces Virgo axis is about the practical mystic. It's walking the mystical path with practical feet. And there is so much Virgo. So Virgo is really the way forward. It's really showing us. So what are some of the teachings of Virgo? Well, Virgo comes in the fall here in the Northern Hemisphere, where the harvest is happening. And part of the harvest is separating the wheat from the chaff. Virgo is about getting things organized and orderly, and I am finding myself just getting rid of a lot of stuff. I mean, there's, as we separate the wheat from the chaff, we really look at what do we need, what do we don't need, what kind of stuff are we just carrying around for whatever reason. So it is an emotional as well as a material letting go of things, of what is no longer serves us and what really isn't important. Even my community is getting rid of stuff. We have people coming to do, take our stuff, to the landfill, which is really awful. And yet there's no place else to put it. We looked everywhere. And that is one of the other pieces of when we're letting go of stuff is, well, where do we put it? Especially when it's material stuff. It's so, Virgo is very practical, wants to be helpful and useful. So it's really taking the time to recycle, reuse, find homes for as much stuff as we can, even if it's giving it away so that it doesn't make its way to the landfill. But sometimes there's just no other place. And of course, we've got so much trash, on this earth, even it's in the ocean. So I think a big teaching from this is to understand that if you, what is it, that movie? It's called Affluenza. It's about filling the void in our hearts with stuff. Well, when we do that, we often it's an impulse buy, and then what are we going to do with it when we no longer need it? Well, we can't find a home for it. It goes to the landfill. And I've also just read that even our recycling, we send it overseas to be recycled, to be put into other forms that are useful. They're sending our stuff back. I'm not sure where it is. Somewhere is I don't know if it's China or somewhere, but they're sending our stuff back because we're sending too much. We have a throwaway society, and Virgo is really, I feel like a big piece of this message is really looking at that, because we have too much stuff. We do need to get rid of it, but we need to, when we need to get rid of it, we need to be aware and conscious of where it might be going. Okay, so that is one piece of Virgo that I think is really important and really up now, especially with all the things going on with Mother Earth. And is in this grand trine with Uranus and Saturn. And Saturn is so much about maturity, responsibility, being an adult, taking responsibility. And Uranus in Taurus feels to me like it's the consciousness of Mother Earth. Uranus is the divine mind. And so Mother Earth, her is really connecting, the divine mind is really connected to the consciousness of Mother Earth, and really telling us, we need to just simply pay attention to what is going on with her. There's even trash in the oceans. So it's really important that we take personal responsibility for our stuff. But it's important to not hold on to old stuff we no longer need. They're both important. The second piece of Virgo that I want to talk about that's really important, I feel at this time, is one of the shadow sides of Virgo is about criticism and perfection. And the truth is that as human beings, we will never be perfect, but as spiritual beings, we're always perfect. But in this kind of paradox in which we live, it's important to really watch how we talk to ourselves. It always starts with self-criticism. Virgo has a lot to do with self-improvement, knowing that we can always be better. But when we're striving for unrealistic goals, we can really beat ourselves up. And so it's important to know we can always improve, but to be kind to ourselves when we make mistakes. Because the truth is, when we are self-critical, it can often fall on others. It's important to be aware of your thoughts and those old tapes we might play in our heads that say unkind things to ourselves. And to be as kind to someone else, to be as kind to yourself as you would be to someone else. It's just really important that we do that. Another aspect of Virgo is one of the signs of the Great Mother. It is the sign of Demeter, or Demeter, however you want to say her name, Ceres. In Greco-Roman mythology, let's just call her a Ceres, Demeter. And also Isis. It's also one of the signs of Isis. And the symbol for Virgo is the Virgin, and she is carrying the shaft of wheat. And of course, the Virgin, we have given a whole new connotation for that word, when it really means a woman who is free and independent unto herself, owned by no one. And so it's really important to remember that in this time of Virgo, and that the Great Mother energy is really strong there through the holding of the wheat, because it is about nourishing, and it's about nourishing us through food. It's through the material world. Virgo is an earth sign, and about our bodies. Virgo is a sign of health and healing, of how we take care of our bodies. It's like our bodies are our vehicles that carry our spirit through this lifetime, and if our bodies aren't working right, we can't really do the work we came to do. So although there are many teachings through health as well, and that is true too. But I feel like that is also a teaching that is coming up right now, is the taking care of our bodies and paying attention, really paying attention to our bodies. And finally, the piece I want to talk about is in Virgo is the Virgo is the sign of the priestess. And so it is about the sacred work. And Virgo teaches us that there is no difference between the sacred and the mundane. It is all our perspective. It is all how we approach it. It's doing it with mindfulness. Washing the dishes can be just as sacred as doing ceremony or ritual. It is all about knowing everything is sacred. Every moment is sacred. And Virgo is like the god of small things. It is the small details, the how small things can really add up to big things. Random acts of kindness, just simply being kind and being mindful. And it, sometimes we think we only can, participate in changing the world through the big things, where the truth is the small things are just as important. And when I think of someone like this young 16-year-old girl from Sweden, Greta Thunberg, who for I don't know how long, but for a long time, she just went by herself to protest. And I'm not sure where it was, somewhere in Sweden. What was their parliament version of parliament about climate change. She went by herself. She would skip school and go by herself. She was the only one there for a long time, and people started paying attention to her. And bit by bit, she is involved in a movement of young people who are really dedicated and devoted to bringing awareness to the climate and what is happening. So one person can make a difference, even with a small act. And to just also know that just walking through the world with an open, kind heart and the way we connect with people can really change the world, because it is love then that ripples out. And so at this time where Virgo is so strong, it is really about being, as I talked about, separating the wheat from the chaff, letting go of things you no longer need, but also being conscientious and aware of, in the material world, where those things go. And be making different choices about, as you buy things, do I really need this? The second piece is about the mind chatter of how we speak to ourselves, being really conscious and aware and being kind to ourselves, and understanding that we can always improve, but perfection is probably not a goal we can achieve as a human, and to be kind to ourselves when we make mistakes. Take care of our bodies. This is the sign of one of the Great Mother, about nourishing our bodies, taking care of our bodies. And 3, that the smallest things can make a difference, and to know that there is no difference between the sacred and the mundane, between the big and what we think of as the small. It all makes a difference. And Virgo, and just one last thing, Virgo is also the sign that reminds us to be humble, and that humility is one of the gateways to heaven. And as we take responsibility for ourselves and our mistakes and try to fix them, it can make us really humble. And Virgo is also the part of the energy that there's this great song. It's called Mary, and it's about Mother Mary, the Virgin Mary, and she's also associated with the sign Virgo, of how Jesus and the apostles or his disciples, she would clean up their mess. They would have their meetings, and she would clean up their mess. And it's kind of like that is what Virgo does. Virgo is about cleaning up the mess, and we've made a mess. And it's how to do that, and to do it with a sense of love and humility, and know that things can be better, but we do need to do the work. And I feel like that is a big piece of what this new moon is about, with so much earth energy, listening to the consciousness of Mother Earth, cleaning up our mess, taking responsibility, cleaning up our mess. And we can make this world a better place just by doing the small things as well as the big things. All right. Thank you so much and have a great month.